There were 32 people in that room. I counted them because counting was the only thing keeping me from walking straight into the kitchen and pretending to look for something in the fridge for the next 40 minutes. My chest was doing that thing, that low, dull pressure, like someone had placed a textbook on my sternum and was slowly adding more books. I wasn't sad, I wasn't angry, I wasn't scared. Exactly, I was just everything all at once with no word for any of it. And that's the part nobody talks about. It's not the panic itself that destroys you. It's the fact that you can't name what the panic even is. That vagueness isn't a side effect of the anxiety. It is the anxiety. And I didn't figure that out until I was sitting in a parking lot, engine running, not ready to go back inside. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why your brain defaults to emotional static and walk you through the exact technique scientists call emotional granularity. I call it the feeling filter. It's the difference between a smoke alarm that screams until you rip it off the ceiling and one that tells you exactly which room is on fire. Stay with me. Oh Lord, it is good to be here with you. Welcome back to the Confident Connection Lab. Genuinely glad you're here. If you've ever been in a room full of people and felt more alone than you do sitting by yourself at midnight, hit like. It tells the algorithm we exist. It tells me you exist. Either way, it matters. The party was a coworker's birthday. I had told myself 3 hours before that this would be fine. I'm a functional adult. I have held conversations with other humans. I know how food and drinks work. And yet the moment I walked through that door and the noise hit me, not loud noise, just that specific layered hum of multiple conversations happening simultaneously, something in my body sent up a flare. My jaw tightened. My shoulders moved up about an inch, closer to my ears, like I was trying to disappear into my own neck. I grabbed a drink I didn't want because my hands needed a job. And then someone asked me sincerely, genuinely, with a smile, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, "And I mean this." Yeah, totally. That's not an answer. That's a system crash wearing a polo shirt. I drove home 40 minutes later and spent the entire commute with this vague, awful feeling sitting in my chest like wet cement. I didn't know what it was. I told myself I was anxious, but that word didn't fit. Anxious is when you're waiting for test results. This was something else, something more specific and more embarrassing. And here's what I didn't know yet. The fact that I couldn't name it was making it worse. Measurably, clinically, neurologically worse. Here's what this says. And stay with me, because this is genuinely wild. There's a concept in psychology called emotional granularity, and the idea is this. The precision with which you can label your emotional state directly affects how intensely your brain experiences it. In plain English, the vaguer your emotional vocabulary, the louder your nervous system screams. When you look at brain imaging data, something remarkable happens when a person names an emotion with precision. The amygdala, that's the part of your brain responsible for threat detection, the smoke alarm, the thing that fires when you feel social danger, it physically downregulates. The activity drops, the volume lowers, not metaphorically, literally on a scan in real time. Scientists call it affect labeling. I call it the feeling filter, because that's exactly what it is. You're filtering the emotional noise through language, and language gives the brain's prefrontal cortex something to work with. The filter doesn't eliminate the feeling. It makes it specific enough to handle. Think about it this way. I'm freaking out is a smoke alarm. It tells you something is wrong, but nothing about what to do. I feel embarrassed that I want to belong here and I'm terrified I don't is a fire in the kitchen. Now you know where to go. Now the prefrontal cortex has an address and the amygdala can stand down. Here's how you actually use it in real time. In the middle of the thing. When your shoulders are up around your ears and you just told someone, yeah, totally, instead of a real sentence. Step 1, feel the body first. Don't go for the emotion word yet. Notice where the sensation lives physically. Jaw, chest, stomach. That tightening is your entry point, not your enemy. Step 2, ask yourself the filtering question, not what am I feeling? That's too broad. Ask, what is this feeling actually about? Is it about being seen? About being judged? About not knowing anyone? The word about forces your brain to categorize, and categorization is the beginning of control. Step 3, get granular. Not anxious, try self-conscious. Not overwhelmed, try overstimulated and under-resourced. Not weird, try excluded and unsure why. The more specific the word, the more the amygdala quiets. Researchers had participants view images that triggered negative emotional responses, then had them label the emotion either vaguely or precisely. The specific labelers showed measurably lower amygdala activation, and that's not self-help. That's neuroscience. Step 4. Say it out loud or write it down. Even a whisper counts. Vocalization engages the prefrontal cortex in a way that pure thought alone does not. You're not just thinking your way through this, you're literally rewiring the signal. Take a second. Think about the last time you felt that room full of people dread. What word did you use for it? If the answer was anxious or stressed or some variation of bad, that's the exact moment the feeling filter would have changed everything. Here's what makes this hard and why most of us never get there. We are not taught emotional vocabulary the way we're taught anything else. We learn happy, sad, angry, and then we're essentially left to figure out the rest on our own. Meanwhile, researchers who study emotional granularity have found that people who can label their emotions with specificity and nuance regulate stress more effectively, recover from difficult social experiences faster, and are significantly less likely to engage in avoidance behaviors. Not because they're more emotionally gifted, because they have better words. That's the entire advantage, and it's vocabulary. The people who seem emotionally together in a room, who move through a crowd without that tight-chested, shoulder-up dread, they are not less sensitive than you. They are not less anxious. They are just running more precise software. And the feeling filter is how you install it. I'm not going to pretend I walked back into that birthday party and became a different person. I didn't. But I started doing this thing in the car before social situations, running through it, noticing the tightening, asking what it was about, getting specific. And what shifted wasn't that the feeling disappeared. What shifted was that the feeling stopped being in charge. When something has a name, it has a size. And something with a size can be managed. I have a question. Be honest in the comments. Does the dread hit harder in big groups? Or is it the one-on-one conversation that really gets you? For me, it has always been the group setting, the hum, the layers, the feeling that every conversation is happening without me. But I know people for whom one serious, meaningful conversation is far more activating than any party. Tell me yours below. I actually read these. Now that you have the filter, now that you know how to name the thing and turn down the volume on your own amygdala, there's one more piece nobody tells you about. Because naming the feeling quiets the alarm, but the overthinking that comes after, the mental replay, the second guessing, the spiral that starts the moment you leave the room, that's a different machine entirely. And I broke down exactly how to finally stop it in this audio right here. Click that.